Hey guys, my name is Emily and I'm one of the Campus Minister interns at the Georgia Southern BCM, and we're just glad to be going through this study of Proverbs. And today we're looking at Proverbs 5 and 6, and so I'm just going to be pulling out a few points as we go through these chapters today. And so the main theme of chapter 5 is just talking about just the alluringness of sin and how it can tempt us, and it looks so enticing, it looks exciting, and but how it leads to death, and how the temporary satisfaction of us falling into our desires can lead to death. And so in verse 8 it talks about keeping your way far from her and do not go near to the door of her house. So it's even saying don't even try to get close to that line or seeing what we can get away with, or just just not even just entertaining the thought, but turning away from that when those temptations come, when it comes into our thoughts, when it comes into our lives, that we need to be prepared to just completely turn away from that. And so setting up those boundaries in our lives to be able to resist that and have that wisdom to be able to do so. And it talks about in verse 11, and at the end of your life you're grown when your flesh and body are consumed, and you say, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, or incline my ear to my instructors. I'm at the brink of utter ruin in the assembled congregation. And so he's talking about this through his own experience, through his own life of experience, and we need to heed these warnings that he's giving us, because he knows that this is what it leads to when he has delved into his desires and into his sin. It has led to that death. It has not led to that enjoyment that we thought we were going to get. It is not leading to that fulfillment or that success that we're wanting from that, but it does lead to foolishness and just understanding the depths of our decisions and our choices that we make daily. And so I, just going in and reading that and just thinking, man, I do not want to get to the end of my life and say that same thing. Man, I wish I would have heeded that warning. I wish I would have listened to the voice of my teachers and my instructors, and just the wisdom of the Lord that he gives us freely when we come to him in faith. And so then it talks about at the end of the chapter, let your fountain be blessed and rejoice in the wife of your youth. And so overall, it's talking about warning against adultery, but we can see that adultery in our own hearts and what we put in place of the Lord. But it's saying when we put God at the center of our lives, and how he designed things in his perfection, and how he wants us to live in that, he gives us that blessing of following him instead of going against that and leading to our destruction. But he knows what happens when we follow him, and it is for our good, and it's for our benefit, and it's for the glory of God. And so as we move on to chapter 6, it's talking about practical warnings, but one thing that came out and stuck out to me that really relates to this time is about laziness and being sluggard. And he's talking about, go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, without having any chief officer or ruler. She prepares her bread in the summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber. So during this time, there's just so much changes going on. I know that you're doing classes online starting next week, and I know that a lot of that doesn't sound like fun to a lot of you guys, and it's like, how am I going to make it through this? And just whatever else is going on, just feeling confined, feeling like your freedom's been taken away from you, and just all these different thoughts and feelings that we're all going through and all processing through, and just encouraging us not to be slumbered and not to be asleep during this time, that not to just fulfill our time with so much going on of social media or different entertainment just to provide ourselves comfort during this time. But how can we be advancing the gospel? How can we be a light during this time? How can we grow in wisdom and not make waste of our time that we have that is already so precious and dear to us, but giving that to the Lord and seeing what he can do during this time, and not being sluggish and not being lazy of not doing anything during this time, because things are changing and there's so much new going on that it's just like, I don't want to deal with it. But coming into it in the strength of the Lord, and asking the Lord, how can I be your light during this time? How can I be your ambassador? And what are those ways I can still use the opportunities that you have given me. It may be in a different way, but using those opportunities to advance your gospel. And so I'm just praying for that in my life and in your life during this time, that we can continue encouraging each other and spurring each other on during this time in the advancement of the kingdom. And just what a great time it is to be doing this together. And I'm just praying and looking forward to hearing about how you're doing that over the next couple months. Thank you.